She looked him dead in the eyes, hands trembling, voice barely above a whisper, and said the words no groom ever wants to hear. Minutes before walking down the aisle, what happened next, most people say they never could have predicted. Stay with me, because this one is going to hit different. We have all been to weddings or at least seen them in movies and on social media. The flowers are perfect, guests seated, music cued, everyone waiting for that magical moment. But behind the scenes, conversations happen that would make your jaw drop. This is one of those stories. By the end of this video, you will be thinking about love, courage, and human decency differently. Let me set the scene. Picture a gorgeous venue, hundreds of guests who traveled from all over. Families spent months and thousands of dollars planning this day. Bridesmaids dressed, groomsmen ready. The groom is standing in a side room, probably nervous, excited, trying to hold it together. And then she walks in, not down the aisle, into that small private room. She closes the door. Before I tell you what happened, understand something about this woman. She was not a villain. She carried enormous emotional weight for a long time. Weight that builds up slowly over years, until one day it becomes unbearable. She had stayed, convinced herself love would grow, that the right feelings would come, that she could build a life with someone genuinely good, even if she was not sure she felt the same way back. It is not always obvious from the outside. The relationship looked wonderful to everyone. Their friends thought they were perfect. Their families adored the match. There were real moments of happiness, laughter, warmth. But underneath, she knew, deep down, she knew that what she felt was not the love she wanted to build a marriage on. So there she was, minutes before the ceremony, standing in front of the man she was about to marry. She told him the truth. She was not in love with him, not the way a wife should be, not the way he deserved. She could not walk down that aisle knowing how she truly felt. Now, sit with what that moment must have felt like for him. Everything he had planned, everything he looked forward to, every conversation about the future, every inside joke, every image of what his life was about to become, all of it came crashing down. In that tiny room, with wedding music probably already starting to drift through the walls. What would you do in that moment? Seriously, think about it. Most people imagine falling apart or getting angry. Maybe both. The emotions would be overwhelming. Shock, hurt, humiliation, grief, all hitting at once. With hundreds of people sitting just a few yards away, waiting. Here is what he did. This is the part that genuinely moves people when they hear it. He took a breath. He looked at her, and he thanked her. He told her he was grateful she had said something before they walked down that aisle. As much as it hurt, he would rather know the truth than live inside a lie for years. He told her she had done the right thing, even though it was the hardest thing anyone had done to him. And then, this is the part that truly leaves people speechless. He walked out of that room, went to the front of that venue, stood before every single one of those guests, and he made an announcement. He did not pretend. He did not hide. He did not send a message through someone else or let rumors fill the void. He stood up there, voice steady, and told the people who loved them both the wedding was not happening. He thanked everyone for being there. He asked people to still enjoy the food and space. And he said something nobody in that room was prepared to hear. He hoped everyone would show her kindness, that she had been honest and that honesty, even when it hurts, deserves to be met with grace. Let that sink in. This man, heart completely broken, told by the woman he loved she did not love him back, stood up in front of hundreds of people and asked them to be kind to her. He could have let the crowd's anger do the work. He could have let her face that moment alone. He could have made it ugly. He had every reason to, but he did not. Now I want to zoom out a little, because this story is not just a dramatic moment. It tells us something important about how we understand love, courage, and character. Think about what it takes to do what she did. People talk about how awful it is to cancel a wedding. Yes, logistically, emotionally, financially, it is a massive disruption. It causes real pain. But consider the alternative. What if she had stayed quiet, walk down that aisle, spend years trying to feel something she did not feel while he lived inside a lie? The kindest thing she could do, even if painful, was tell the truth when she still could. And think about what he did. His response was not weakness. It was not him being a pushover. It was genuine emotional maturity under extreme pressure. That kind of grace is rare. It matters, because how we respond when most hurt, when we have every excuse to be cruel or selfish, that is when our real character shows up. There is a psychological principle at work here. Healthiest relationships and people sit with discomfort without immediately reacting from ego or self-protection. The ability to pause before you respond, to choose a response rather than just a reaction. That is one of the hardest things a human can do. And this man did it in one of the worst moments of his life. Now, I want to be honest about something else. The aftermath of a moment like this is not simple. Life is not a movie where music swells and everything wraps up cleanly. Both had hard days ahead. She processed guilt and grief of hurting someone she cared about. He navigated heartbreak, questions, rebuilding his idea of the future. Neither walked away from that small room and immediately felt okay. But there is a version of this story where she said nothing that would have been so much worse. Not just worse for them, but potentially devastating for any children, for extended families. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is tell the truth they do not want to hear. And sometimes the most loving response to a painful truth is to receive it with dignity. I think about all the people staying quiet because the alternative feels too disruptive, too messy, too unkind. And I wonder how many are making the problem worse by letting it grow. Because honesty has a timing to it. And while never easy, sometimes the window closes. Once it closes, the cost goes up enormously. Her timing was not ideal, but she did not let the window close completely. She did not wait until they had children, until they built a life that would be harder to unravel. She spoke up. That took real courage, even if it looked like chaos from the outside. And he received that honesty in a way that changed the people in that room. Those hundreds of guests went home with something they did not expect to see that day. They witnessed a human being choose grace over bitterness when no one could have blamed him. Stories like this matter, not because weddings falling apart is something to celebrate, but because how people behave in their hardest moments reveals who they are. Sometimes we need to be reminded that kindness is possible even in heartbreak. Dignity is possible even in humiliation. Grace is possible even when you have every reason to be angry. So if you are watching this and carrying some truth you have been avoiding, maybe this is your sign. Not to blow up your life recklessly, but to stop letting fear of disruption talk you into disaster. And if you are watching this and have been on the receiving end of something painful and honest, maybe this man's response is worth thinking about, not as a standard you are required to meet immediately, because grief is real and it takes time, but as a possibility, a reminder that how we respond to pain is a choice, and that choice says more about us than the pain itself ever could. If this story made you feel something, made you think, I want to hear from you in the comments. What would you have done in his position? What about hers? And hit that subscribe button. The kinds of stories and conversations we explore on this channel are exactly this, real human moments that make you stop and think. I will see you in the next one.